I had the pleasure of seeing a miniature automobile city this weekend, June 24th, 2017, in Capac, Michigan, a small town 1 hour and a quarter north of Detroit. This is quite a unique museum, not only because it is a former railroad depot building that is the museum is in, but two, also it has this miniature motorized automobile city. This is the back entrance to the museum, and it all started back in 1900 to 1905 when Fred Kempf, a citizen of Capac, Michigan, built his miniature city. He would go on to show it around the country by train and with his wife, and do so until about 1915, when a terrible railroad accident occurred and Fred and his wife were killed. The railroad museum, the model city was destroyed. This letter in 1915 from Louisiana is the last known letter Fred wrote to home. It's an exhibit at the museum. The brothers, or the children of Fred, it's Bruce and brother Irving. Bruce was a master mechanic. This picture, as the painting shows, Irving was a model builder. They decided to walk in their father's footsteps and rebuild this miniature city, and it would be quite the showcase for the next 20 years or so. In 1916 they started work on it and would not finish it until 7 years later in 1923. And once they finished it, they would take this 40-foot long mechanical city, 4 foot wide, and transport it by train and go across the country. It was built into 5 sections that folded down into nice carrying cases that were easy to put on the train. And as this picture shows, they would show it in Chicago, Illinois, Denver, Colorado, J.L. Hudson's in Detroit, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Chicago, New York City to San Francisco, until finally World War II broke out in 1941 in the United States, and in 1942, because of gas rationing, it went into storage. Well, the brothers would die, and one of the sisters in Capac had this miniature city in her attic and really didn't know what to do with it until a man by the name of Cecil Wizoon and his wife Catherine decided that they would like to display it and show this history at their pool hall they had in Grand Blanc, Michigan. And my wife has a connection with Cecil and Catherine. She knew them both in the 70s and early 80s. And she had often told me about this miniature city until one day we both saw it back in the late 1990s for the first time for me, and in Capac, Michigan. Catherine would die in 1984. In fact, my wife was at her side when she passed, and she was able to contact her husband Cecil, who was able to be with her after she had had a stroke. Cecil himself died in 1987, and the city of Capac was very interested in buying it, so they contacted the Y. Zuhn's family, who had a large barn full of antique toys. Cecil was an antique collector, and Capac finally got its miniature city back. Now, this 1/8 inch to the foot model is really a joy to watch. It actually is still running. It's not perfectly. It runs on belts, like conveyor belts, underneath their fan belts. I have seen the mechanisms, but it needs constant maintenance and looking after. So if you do happen to be in the area sometime, do stop in Capac and talk to the people in town and find out when the exhibit is open. It is open in the summer, and I'm going to let you listen to the train at the miniature city automobiles and tractors that are running go around the track. Enjoy.
That was the Pennsylvania National Guard.
Started this over
That was
because it didn't have the cord.
Yeah, Germany. Their patch was. See, I did a presentation for him at a family reunion about 5 years ago. I did some background and I did some research on it. When it was all said and done, I could trace his footsteps across Europe up to the point where he was wounded. And I actually found a map. We knew by his paper he was wounded on August 2nd. When I came across this map, everybody was old family myth that he was wounded in St. Louis. It wasn't possible because St. Louis was already captured by the Allies and Americans by the time he went. Because his division climbed from the shore after Normandy was east to secure. So anyway, he was wounded August 2nd, and I found, believe it or not, I found these maps that indicated on the map where the battalion CP was on the map and their line of march. Well, the battalion CP was dated on the map August 2nd, just outside Percy, France. If he was wounded on August 2nd, and the battalion CP was just outside Percy, France, he was probably wounded, if not in person, just outside of Percy. Which is interesting because it's southeast of, that was part of the Normandy breakout. They were following the Capac chart across Europe. They made the breakout of Normandy and south, made it open as they wanted. Surrounding the Germans at he was late. Yeah, he was late.
Very cautious. But, you know, a lot of people talk about that, but if you study history of that era, the British have taken so many casualties already. I can see why he was very sharp. didn't have an army.
Right, we didn't have one before World War II.
Yes, and what they did, they brought up all the National Guards, and
Right.
I've got pictures of him. This is a medal that he won in World War I. And that was in the West Infantry before World War I up there. And they swore them all in for the United States Army. So those guys were all reached on me. And there's actually I can't get a damn darn feedback to get this marine out. You have enough room to donate to it? Those would be great, but they're pretty close to me.